Good morning, guys. Righty. Cool. So we do have a little bit of news this morning, and oops. Forex Factory. Okay, so we have the prelim GDP this morning at 8:30. Just gonna check and see FTMO calendar. It's not a restricted event, which is good, but nonetheless. Okay, so I'm going to talk about just kind of what I'm looking at, higher time frame. Probably not going to look at trades just yet, just based on the fact that, excuse me, we do have some news this morning. So we're going to kind of let the dust settle with that. But I'm going to take the opportunity to just, kind of look at what I'm viewing from the higher time frame and what it is that, I don't want to say what I'm expecting, but what just kind of weigh out the different scenarios to be able to get you on the right side of the market from a higher time frame perspective. So first thing I noticed on the 4-hour chart is we've seen a change of character down. Now, the only thing I don't necessarily like about the chalk is that we don't have a level to sort of take. I mean, on lower time frames we do, and that's a lot more apparent with this level of inducement that we just had on the 15. So what I'm going to look at is just kind of how we interact at this level. I'm definitely not going to be the first person in. I would like to see this sort of realign properly. We do have a few of the boxes sort of ticked here in terms of, a liquidation into our, let me go back out to our 4-hour. So you can see I'm just looking at this kind of like the inside bar. You could look at this entire wick right here if you wanted to, oops, and possibly be waiting until we, come up a little bit further. But yeah, as it stands right now, it looks like we're coming into sort of where the higher time frame supply range is. Now, all that to say, like we can see that ideally what we're going to want to see is, because we're technically moving counter order flow, we're going to want to see a 15-minute realignment. And you can see that price is kind of trying to, establish a realignment here. And furthermore, what's going to end up happening is, if and when that happens, we'll have an area of supply in theory. Now, obviously, we want to see some lower time frame liquidity sort of built and some form of inducement into the POI. And you can see that we've just to say tapped into this. So there is a chance that we can come back and come into this further and look for realignments again. However, our criteria allows us to be able to essentially get involved once this change of character happens. We'll probably see something along the lines of this. Pull down, come back up, and then we could start looking to potentially take sells. So you can see that this is going to take a little while to build anyways, likely a few hours, possibly even into tomorrow, depending on how news ends up essentially what am I trying to say here? Jesus Christ, ends up shaking things up. So yeah, like I said, right now the main thing for me is obviously the first box of this POI becoming relevant is we've had inducement, right? So we had liquidity to take from the market into the actual POI. We've mitigated the POI. We've also taken out all the liquidity that's resting right here at the flip. And now we're coming into more of the extreme, right? So now, like I said, the main thing that I would be looking for is the 15 to align, right? So that we can at least make sure that order flow is favorable for us. And then that's only one part of the equation, right? So once order flow actually shifts and we get onto our 1 minute, you can just see how corrective this is sort of moving, right? So have to be really careful. You know, ideally we'd like to see some sort of shift like this, you know, maybe something down like this, come back up into the extreme, and then we could look for a realignment here to then take this down. So you can see that this is, yeah, it looks very efficient in here. So that's the only thing I'm sort of, I wouldn't say worried about. I mean, it's not a huge deal. We've already taken a lot of the liquidity out of the market, right? By the looks of it. I mean, order flow right now is very bullish. So we need to see some sort of a shift, a substantial shift to be able to get involved, at least in my opinion. Now, do we have a 1 minute refined over here that we've reacted to? Yeah, not really. Yeah. So anyways, that's basically all I'm looking at this morning is I'm not looking to take any longs this high up in price. Now, in the case that like we're reacting from supply here, right? So if we were to come down into, like, if you were to take a short here, I mean, the first area that I would be targeting would be underneath here, right? Coming into this more extreme area. So I'd be taking, you know, a good portion of my profits off here. The idea is that we're going to see some form of a reaction and then possibly see something along the lines of this, and we could be looking for a potential scale in opportunity here, depending on how things sort of line up. So yeah, again, just to kind of recap, we need an order flow shift. If and when the order flow does shift, we might come all the way down into here. You might think the move is gone without you. I'll tell you right now, we're just going to look for some form of a realignment, and then we can start to get involved. But until that happens, we're just going to be sitting on our hands. It's going to be a little bit of a boring session, just kind of watching price, watching paint dry. One of the things I'm going to talk about is, let me just go through the trading questions. There was a few things I wanted to touch on, and I'll start trying to answer these trading questions. Hey, Nick, Tom. Yeah, so I mean, that's all we're doing right now is essentially just waiting for this to develop a little bit further. Now, if and when, you know, we sort of come down into this region, can we look for longs? Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately we're aligned with the you know, the structural levels, internal structural levels. So I would say reasonably we're going to get a reaction here that we could trade, and then you could hold this into potentially weak highs, depending on how these things end up forming up, right? Right now, as it stands, I'm going to be looking for, let's go to cleaner, super clean. Let me just go through these questions for 2 seconds. And 10 suggestions. Okay, let's go over. So appreciate if you could go through the POI flow chart with some examples. Okay. So let's do that really quick. Where is my POI flow chart? Okay. So right now, POI must break structure. So in this specific case, I'm not sure if VK is here or not, but we can reference him over to this video. POI must break structure. So does this POI break structure? It breaks structure here. It also breaks structure here, right? So this is the first internal bit that it breaks. And yeah, possibly call that like a swinging point. Okay, so we've got those breaks. POI must take opposing liquidity. Well, yeah, it comes from an area that takes liquidity, right? POI must be in the premium or the discount of the leg. Okay, so right now, we've ticked the boxes, and you'll notice that highest probability trades typically come from this upper 30% region, and that's exactly where we're playing, or upper 25%. So that's good. POI must build lower time frame liquidity before the POI. Okay, so this is the lower time frame liquidity before the POI, right? POI must, or sorry, this is better known as a level to be induced or swept. Looks like that's exactly what happened here, right? This is typically shown through equal highs and equal lows or built up mitigations, right? Built up mitigations, equal highs, right? Equal lows, sweep, come back up, bingo. Okay. POIs can be found at SD and DS flip zones as well as extremes. So the flip zone was kind of resting in here. That's why we had interaction here and push down. We've now mitigated this area, right? And now we've come back up into more of like the extremity. Pretty clear. Anybody else have questions about the POI flow chart? Or is that leg you measured internal or swing to you? Which one? You're talking about this guy to here? Between basically these 2 points right here. Well, this is like depending on the time frame, right? It's like if we go into the 4 hour, I would say that this is your first internal structure break, right? First internal structure break, push down, come back up. Yeah, and then if this makes a new low, like this will be basically potentially for a swing high only if we take out this low, right? So right now for me, the 4 hour swing point is right here and right here. Does that make sense? Oh, on the 15. Okay, give me 2 seconds. Okay, so right here and right here, these are swing points, right? On the 4 hour. Oh, sorry, my bad, guys, my bad. Yes, right here and right here are swing points. This is more of like probably a daily swing. No, this would be daily swing. Yeah, no, this is your swing point, my bad. But this is, yeah, and this is where like structure kind of gets a little bit messy, because if we use our rules of like we need a level of liquidity to take into some part of an, like this is obviously an area of interaction in this level. So this is more, yeah, of a relevant structural level for us to be able to trade from. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
If you look at this, let me annotate, because so if we look at this as 4 hour down here to here, you can actually see that this hasn't mitigated the 50% of that. Is that something you look at? So even though we came back up and then we take this out, wouldn't that also mean that there's still orders waiting here to be mitigated? So you could also look at it that way.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the way that I sort of look at, I don't really look at like the 50% of the leg or anything like that. The main thing I look at is like levels of liquidity to sort of take, which I mean, tomato, right? Like we're all looking at the same sort of thing. So this is the more like this entire region right here is the more favorable level, just based on the fact that we need something to take, right? And this is going to be used as our inducement to be able to then push price down.
Okay, I was using like both of those more confluences.
Yeah, for sure. I like it. I personally, I don't use like you're talking like the 50% of this to basically.
No. What I'm saying is like, this is your high, this was your low. This came and broke this over here. But if you look at this, this hasn't come up into the 50. So there's still a good chance it's going to come up there to
mitigate the rest of the orders. I see.
Yeah, and then you've got this this inducement to help you pull it up there, and I mean this liquidity.
I'm with you. Okay, so we've chalked down order flow realignment, which is step 1. So now we need the additional confirmations, obviously, if and when we kind of come up. So we have levels of liquidity to kind of come after, which is going to be these equals down here. Now, what we want to do is look at the same thing. So we've got levels to basically come into. Okay, we've got levels. Now, ideally, what we're going to want to see is something along the lines of a very corrective or swing in, and then look for something to confirm, right? Because this is pretty messy PA in here to kind of select any sort of a POI, at least for me personally. So in circumstances like this, I'm not necessarily going to be the first one in. If we would have had something along the lines of, okay, we've basically broken down levels, and then we have kind of like the unmitigated extreme like this, that would be a little bit better. We could potentially look at this guy just above, and I believe this is, kind of like your interaction area. We could argue that this might be an area that we could possibly get involved, but yeah, like I said, I think it's definitely more wise to essentially let this kind of taper off, come back into something like this, and then realign on at least the 1 minute. So let's go back out to the 15. One of the other things, I think most of you guys are getting pretty close to your 90 days, the guys who had first signed up. So talk about funding just a little bit, because it seems like, not seems like, I can tell you firsthand that it's phase 1 seems to be a lot easier because you have sort of like this laser focus going into it, especially after you've done, 60, 70 days with, XYZ community, and, you've kind of got the nail in the coffin with the strategy and able to understand it and kind of use it to your advantage. Now, with that being said, what ends up happening is phase 1 becomes very easy because of the amount of focus that you have, the attention to detail, and anybody who's very close to finishing or about to start phase 1, the main thing is you need to carry that same exact methodology into phase 2. And I think what happens is, because it's a smaller profit target, a lot of people think that they can just kind of rush through it and take these little intraday plays that don't necessarily correlate with their plan. And I'm sure everybody can kind of agree or disagree, whatever you want. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure most people do it. And you just need to understand that it's not a sprint to the finish line. Getting funded is obviously a huge milestone. However, one of the things that you need to understand, and that is so important to understand, is that getting funded is one thing, keeping your funding is another, right? So there's a whole other level of emotional attachment once you actually secure funding. So just remember that in order to basically sustain funding and be able to be consistently profitable and be part of that like 1% really, the only way to do this is to repeatedly trade your plan, right? And that means in phase 1, that means in phase 2, that means well funded. Do not let the money essentially not change you, but don't let the money kind of interfere or intersect with how you make judgment calls into getting into positions, right? Because it's very easy to get into a position for 1 to 5 or 1 to 8 or 1 to 7, whatever it is. But it doesn't necessarily correlate with how you specifically like to trade. So just, kind of like the voice of reason or the voice in the back of your head is, just remember that like the way that our plan really sets up, there's like 3 or 4 opportunities per week. It's pretty well the max, and you can take a couple losses on getting involved, but like ultimately we kind of wait for these higher time frame moves, ideally to be able to capitalize on the market. Now, yeah, just wanted to make mention of that, because the bottom line is a lot of people just end up kind of sloughing through. Like I said, phase 1 is relatively easy because you've got the plan sort of ingrained in your head, and then phase 2, because it's a lower profit target to be able to achieve, a lot of people kind of get involved with trades that don't necessarily correlate, so that they can just pass quicker. So anyways, just like I said, I want to talk about this a little bit more in the next couple of days, but just let the plan do its work. Let the plan do its work. It doesn't even work all the time, right? That's the bottom line, is like, it doesn't even, like, the plan doesn't even work every single time. If you're betting against the plan that you've paid to essentially learn, yeah, man, you're just going to have a bad time. All the work that you've put in, over the course of the last, 80, 90 days, don't let it go to waste. Don't let it go to waste. It doesn't serve anybody. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a fucking awful time. What else did I want to talk about? Yeah, that's pretty well it, really. This is going to be just kind of watching paint dry a little bit. Anybody have questions? One of the things too that it says in the trade plan is, if there's no clear 1 minute POI, what do? Well, we just assume that this is a 15 minute and we look for some form of a realignment, right? So efficient pricing is like this, where mitigation, okay, means that it's mitigating itself, right? So usually a bunch of mitigations, as we get higher up in price, will get ran into a level that's unmitigated to then push price to take out mitigations. So yeah, that's it. Why isn't this considered a 15-minute chalk? It is a chalk. This is 100%. That's exactly what it is. 15-minute chalk. So that's why we have our POI mapped here. Yeah. So there was a trade that you could have potentially got involved in. Yeah, we chalked up. We did not chalk down. So we chalked down basically when we took this level out. What caused it? Right here, right? So you could have possibly gotten involved with something like this. But yeah, it's just the way it goes, right? Management is king. So this is just that flip zone, right? And a lot of people get really, chasey when it comes to, this is a super toxic habit with smart money, is they see this 15-minute chalk and they think it's not going to come back. And anyway, so just let this build, let it do its thing. Like I said, we have news. Who knows what's going to happen? Could shake things up quite a bit. Please show a few examples of a V-shaped recovery. V-shaped recovery. Would you consider also looking at the M15 buy to sell? What can you just mark up? You talking about in here? Probably not, to be honest with you. I want to go into, like, you can see So very minor detail, but you can see that we have an unmitigated extreme, right? Like we haven't even tapped into this. So I think that this will get ran into at least here at some point, and then we can start looking for potential positions. No, I wouldn't consider it. If we did something like this and came down, I would still be waiting probably for something like this. May I ask 2 questions, please, regarding the current PA? Go ahead, Lucas.
Yeah, Tyson, so could you go quickly to the 1 minute, please? And basically, my question is like, when you have a POI, it doesn't matter whether it's a 1 minute POI or 15-minute one, but basically, if we get something like this, where we see basically a V-shaped recovery of something relevant, and then price starts doing this, right? And basically we have, even this guy was mitigated. So would you in this case say the high is actually weak if there is no liquidity to target somewhere down here?
It
happens quite a bit.
Yeah. So would you assume that you're already in a position here, or you're looking to
probably here. Sometimes what I've noticed is that, let's say you get a liquidation, V-shaped recovery, the flip causes the break, and at the same time the flip kind of mitigates the extreme,
right?
And then we see like a supply chain being built to the downside, right? And like there is nothing like pretty much left unmitigated. So in this case, it is probably wiser to not even look for a trade until this high goes, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's either that, or if we come into something like this, into like, let's say the extreme, and then we make a new low and we have interaction here, then we can start looking here after this has swept, right? So it's going to depend on, obviously, like, man, every time price does something, it does it a little bit differently, right? But in the case that, like, I wouldn't be looking to trade off of here, in short. Ultimately, I'd be looking to see some sort of a realignment, make sure that basically order flow is going to keep aligning with the way that we want. You don't need to be the first one in either, right? We can basically look at the next interaction zone here and be able to take something here, right?
Yeah. And the second question I have, could we go back to the 15? I know we've talked about it one-on-one in the past, but and I think I've got better at it. But basically, like when you have a swing structure here, and basically you have also an internal swing structure here, and we're basically already at the premium. So in this case, would you say this swing structure takes precedence over this one?
Higher
Yeah.
time frame always wins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you say like these lows are technically weak? Since we still at 15-minute realignment?
So this is a good point, because your question that you put in the content suggestions was about weak highs and weak lows, right? So how we're going to know whether or not this is weak is technically how we align at the POI, right?
So if we see like pretty much the same thing what I've drawn before, if we see like a supply chain here being built and then order flow shift of this flip, this high is going, right?
More than likely.
Okay.
Yeah, more than likely. It's the way that I'm viewing this right now, just to give you a little bit of an idea, is that we've taken liquidity from the market, right? We've literally ticked every single box in the POI flow chart right now. So can this high get ran? Sure, of course it can. But I think that what's likely to happen is something like this, which will give us a mitigation, right? And then if we essentially get a realignment on our lower time frame, that tells us that this low, in theory, should be weak, correct?
So you would then target this extreme in that case?
Well, and this is where it's kind of like a do or die moment for all of these lows. You can see the corrective nature of how it's kind of building in. And as long as order flow realigns, we can then start to get involved with areas to take out these equals, right? And then take this down into that deeper 4-hour demand that we were kind of talking about earlier this week, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, like, I started paying attention way more to the internal structure.
Yeah.
But like, I also see like a lot of like internal structure failures, if it makes sense.
Yep.
And I just get smoked just by following the internal structure sometimes way too much.
So in those cases, the best way to sort of go about anything really is just pay attention to the, like, I always ask myself too, what's the bigger play? Like what's the bigger play that's coming, right? And the bigger play, I mean, as we know with the 4-hour chalk, right? And we're obviously like, like this is the play we're after, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of talking about. Like even though like these longs, like they look really good in hindsight, but like in theory, like there is no demand down here. Like demand is way lower on higher time frames.
Yeah, and again, this is taking counter trend against higher time frame swing, right? So it's like I got you, man. Like this is like our plan is designed to that we can take these moves, right? But the bottom line is they're tricky moves to get into, especially when you're premiumly priced, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
those counter trend moves, there's a lot more liquidity sweeps than when you trade pro trend moves.
right, that's right. So best way to go, and like this is the main reason why like I'm trying to primarily focus on this move, right? Okay, as long as we come into here and we order flow realign, this low should be targeted, correct?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because
That makes sense.
because every single person in smart money right now is trading long here and trading long here, right?
Yeah.
But what do we target? So if you look at this right here, right? Okay, everybody's trading like this would be the equivalent of trading here, right? So you can see that what do? We come back down deeper, right? So what are we going to come down to? We're going to come down deeper. Same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
No, like what do you teach? Like it's there. It's just like you have to adapt a lot, zoom out and switch between the time frames. If you just stay on the 1 minute or on the 15,
For
you
sure.
can get easily lost.
Well, and that's why, like, and the bottom line with this strategy is if you trade pro swing, right? You just have to be patient. I mean, ultimately, I'd taken a trade in here yesterday after this liquidation. I thought this was going to keep going, to be honest with you. But you can see that we had unmitigated demand in here that kept pushing us up. So now I just sit on my hands. I'm waiting for this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this could get ran one more time, show us a bigger alignment, come in to mitigate, come back up, and then push down, right? And then you could look here.
Yeah, it's not about taking every trade. I've realized it's about like
It's
really work on your patience and just wait, because your strike rate is going to be much higher and you're going to protect your psychology a lot more too.
That's right. That's right. Because right now, even with this chop, right, even with this change of character, coming back up like this, in theory, this high could potentially be weak, right?
Yeah.
So if we see something along the lines of this, where we've then broken structure like this, right? Once we break, where do we break from? We broke from here,
Yeah.
right?
No, I agree. Like these big details, like can make a huge difference. No, I agree. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Keep things simple, man. And I think a lot of people need to hear it too. It's you don't need to be involved with every move in the market. You know what I mean? Like, and every time something sets up, you can ask yourself, does this align with how I view things? Does this make sense? Have we ticked all the boxes for me to be able to get involved? And that's kind of why we provided these flow charts, to be able to say, okay, if X, Y, Z, all this different stuff happens, the odds are stacked in your favor to have a winning trade idea. And then how you utilize your lower time frame is essentially how your strike rate is going to be affected. So you have to remember, every time you jump down a time frame, you have to be more patient, right? Every single time. So from the 15 down to the 1 down to the 5 second, we are the last people. We are the absolute last people right before it takes off. That's the idea. So it's kind of like a game of cat and mouse of just kind of waiting to see what ends up happening for price, right? Let me just look. Why does that make sense? Inducement, exactly. How do you think about sweep into valid POI? How can we enter into the trade? if you're talking about getting involved right here, it's not something I'm looking to do. Personally, I'm waiting to essentially see it like right now. We've ticked most boxes. We need to see that price is actually wanting to move, right? So how we're going to know that is if we come back up into this area and we realign, we can then take this down into at least here, and then furthermore, once we break down, we could actually look at something like this, which would be a higher probability setup. Patient, guys, there's no rush. This is like, we are potentially framing, and this is what you have to understand too, is you need to understand how big of a trade is likely to be available in the foreseeable future if and when this gets validated, right? So even if we break down like this and we come back up, boom, this is a huge trade that can be potentially capitalized on. So just take your time, let the market come to you, let it develop. Do not force trades that don't exist. Just sit here and wait. It's the best way to make money. Always struggle with that. I'd always wait for price to retrace so deep into the leg when structure breaks, but the D2S flips have made a huge difference. 1 minute chalk when we hit the refined zone, and let's go. Exactly. Realign on the M15 because it's a 15-minute POI. That's right. So yeah, guys, like, just remember that, you know, if we just zoom out, let's look at the 1 hour. You can see, like, we have all sorts of liquidity built for us in the direction. You don't need to be the first guy. You need to understand what to look for and when to look for it. And right now, as it stands, even if this breaks, okay, even if this breaks, what's it going to want to do? When it hits this, it's going to want to pull back. It's going to create more liquidity. This is going to give you a second opportunity to then get involved for the bigger move. Do not stress out. Sit, wait, be patient. If there's anything that you can take from this entire community, it's that we do not take trades every fucking day. We take trades that are very high probability, very high quality, to align with the way that we view the market, either pro or counter trend. If you were away from the charts right now, where would your alerts be? So my first alert would be, it's a good question, awesome question. First alert would be here. Okay, so I would put this at alert, and I would say, M15 POI into HTF. Okay, so that would be my first one. My second one would be, what would I do here? So if and when this sort of breaks down here, this would be my next, ultimately I'm looking for this to hit anyways. My second one would be probably somewhere down here at alert. And I would say screen internal, internal demand of M15 leg. And that's it. And then you just walk away, right? The next one you could put, like technically this is going to get hit first, but the next one you could put above and beyond that would be after this high gets ran, right? So if this high got ran and we went deeper into the POI, let's say, at alert, say, liquidation of the M15 high. Okay, and then furthermore, like, let's say we did something along the lines of this, right? Let's say we liquidate, excuse me, let's say we liquidate this high. Okay, we go like this and we sweep up. My next alert would now be across here, and I would punch this in as M15 order flow realignment, just so that you can see the order of operation. Because what happens is your alerts are your best friend if you understand how to use them and why we use them. Alerts aren't just for POIs. Alerts are to basically keep you away from the charts, because how often, if you stare at if you're sitting here staring at a chart right now, how many people sit here either glued to the 1 minute, glued to the 5 second, glued to the lower time frame is the bottom line, trying to force some sort of a trade? Most people do. And it's a normal thing. A lot of people have the discipline to stay away from it. But the bottom line is like the easiest way for you to stay away from over trading is to spend less time on the charts, right? If you have less time on the charts, it's very, very likely for you to take higher quality setups, because when you set an alert, the idea is that you know what the next move is. So if this breaks, or if we hit this POI, what's the first thing we're going to look for? I'm going to go like this. If we hit this POI, we know that we're going to be trading this pro trend, pro order flow, right? So we already know that. So if and when that hits there, you have your waypoint, and you just say that, okay, if this happens, here's what I need. We have a 15-minute unrefined zone, 1 minute sweep, 1 minute chalk and flip. What caused the 1 minute chalk? Set a limit on the extreme, play the decisional, pay attention to the liquidity and delivery. Done. Walk away. That's all you need to do. Furthermore, if we hit something up here, which is a higher POI, we first need, we can't even have this on here yet, right? Because what we need to see after this happens is, let's say we drive up like this, right? Then we need to see this low break, right? Otherwise, we don't have a trade idea, because we need some sort of an order flow shift to align with our trade idea to then be able to take this down. Cool. Patience, 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 patience. Five-second is not necessary. All it does is, if you know how to use it and when to use it, it gives you really, really good opportunity for not only just risk reward. So instead of like a 3 pip stop, you can sometimes get down to about a 1.5 on like a sell or buy stop, which is nice. You can kind of double up your risk reward. However, you could take a couple of different hits getting involved, right? So yeah, it's just one of those things where it does add another layer of confluence if you already know what to do with the 1 minute. It can greatly improve your strike rate. It can also be detrimental to your strike rate if you don't know when to use it. Why is it considered pro trend and not counter trend? Prior to joining, I would consider that internal structure uptrend as the dominant 15-minute trend. So my swing points. So if I'm looking at this right now, we would be looking to trade that. So we have to understand that the trend has reversed, right? The trend is reversed here. When your trend reverses, we are trading this in the direction of a potential pro trend move. We're looking for order flow to realign, which it has. And then we're going to be looking to trade this down. This is pro internal structure, right? This is pro internal, but you need to be able to read between the lines of like, this is the higher time frame move, right? This is your swing and swing. We're coming into a swing point. What are we expecting? You have to understand that like we're expecting to pull back on the 4 hour, which in turn is going to make a 15-minute pro trend move for us to be able to take this down. We are very high up in the leg, but I would be, but would you be paying attention to the sell to buy wicks? We are approaching on the M15 M1 realigning, then buy. If the sell POI up top is relevant, we have to get there somehow. You're talking about right here, Chris? Not interested. Not interested at all, to be honest with you. Way too aggressive for me. Even coming down into this more extreme, I'd ideally want to see a break. Like I'm not trying to force buys against higher time frame order flow that's switching, right? That's all I'm saying. You can see this starting to break now. Like I'd like to see yeah, oops. Personally, I'm just waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting. Big time. To me, this is a forced move. Could it work? Sure. Personally, I'm not yeah, I'm not interested in that. Like even getting down into these levels right here, right? We only have this little bit of liquidity to take. Is that going to be enough to fuel the move to take out these? Absolutely not. Is there a move here? Sure. Could take it. Potentially take this guy, but I wouldn't be looking here. That's just my personal opinion. Now, if we take something like this, ideally I would want to trade down in this extremity, if anything at all. Crypto's taking a hit. Holy fuck. Yeah, no worries, Chris.
Hey Tyson, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you go back to the 15-minute for a sec?
Yep.
So when I asked you the question about pro trend and counter trend,
Yep.
you were defining that as your structure point, right? Or maybe even this. But the way that I learned previously to join the group was that this would be the point that broke structure. So that would be your structure point, and then this would be a shift. So you would just call that a chalk, which would be like an order flow shift.
Yep.
How would I know? Like, how could I define that? It's not like connecting in my brain.
Okay.
That's just simply a chalk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the best way to do this is go out to your higher time frame. What's going on here? Right. So can we agree that internal structure on the 4-hour has broken, right?
Yep.
So if internal structure is broken, where did it break from? Here, right? So like basically putting your timeframes together is how we're going to be able to get ourselves in a position where we know that this is just an order flow realignment to bring us back up to mitigate orders up here, right?
Right.
So on the 15, this looks like this is technically a pro internal structure move, right? But it's not a pro swing move, right? The pro swing move
makes sense.
comes from here. So that's just the Chris. How's that POI, buddy? But yeah, no, all I would say here is like, yes, once we come up, we push up, we've established, we have an unmitigated extreme. You could have potentially traded this into weak highs to be able to get yourself into sales, right?
Okay, so it just depends on the context of the higher time frame narrative, right?
Exactly, and it's whether or not your move is in relation to the 15-minute internal structure, or if you're looking at the higher time frame narrative is exactly what we're trying to do. So if we want a higher time frame narrative, this is the highest probability move is coming into here, taking this into new lows, right? Whereas this is fine to take this into equals, but the bottom line is like this is not going to take out this high.
No, for sure. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Thanks.
You know what I'm saying? So you can use
100%.
chart. It says to map out your swing points, and you'll see it's kind of like a loose term because we could also use this as your swing and your swing, right? You could take this into a new swing high, correct?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is the bigger play is involved with this.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, buddy. Since you mentioned the crypto market, what's your thoughts on BTC? In which way? Just in terms of the chart or in general, what my thoughts are on crypto? You can throw your mic on if you want, Lucas. Yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. This is very similar to that EU price. Remember, and you remember the sell that we took or that I took last week, and you kind of said like, oh, well, I don't really understand what's going on, how you were able to take sells from here or from here. Well, if you look something like this, right? Here's your swing point, or not swing point, sorry. So we come in, we match this, we take out the low, come back up, match something like this is going down. I mean, that's the bottom line. This is there's nothing here. There's no form of demand, right? Going long here is like a suicide mission. BTC is going way, way, way down. We're going to see 10K probably. It's going to be a rocky ride, man. Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, there's no demand that kicked into the market till here. And that's left unmitigated. Yeah, we're going to come to sub 10K, I think. Sub 10K. I won't be looking to accumulate till under 10K. Yeah, this whole fucking hodl. Yeah, that's. Anyways, hodl is basically a term for people who have no charting skills whatsoever. They don't understand supply and demand. They don't understand just like how the market operates. I mean, shit, dude. It's not rocket science. I mean, there's no demand for price. Look at your monthly. Where's demand right now? Probably here. Probably here or underneath here, right? Like this is, if you're buying here, you're out of your fucking mind. Like you are out of your fucking mind. Dollar cost average, like people just don't know what they're doing, right? People just don't understand how a chart works and where demand sits, right? So nice sell. If we come back in, like all these people, all these moon boys, whatever the fuck they are, when we come back into here, how many people, TikTok, Instagram, oh, Bitcoin's back, Bitcoin's back. We're going to hit into 42 to 45K range. All these people are going to be buying, we're going to be selling. We're going to sell right down into here. It's not rocket science. I mean, there's no strength in the market. There's zero. What needs to happen in for an accumulation phase? Well, first of all, we need to get down here, right? We need to see change of character. We need to see inducement. We need to see a break of the high and then some sort of a flip for this to even start to reverse. Like we're looking at, multi-year bear market right now. People have lost it, man. Out of control. It's hilarious. Yeah, absolutely hilarious. Yeah, I mean, fuck up FX, make a bunch of money, and then when we get down to those levels, throw a quarter of your net worth, 25% of your net worth into crypto, and probably never have to work again off the next bull run if and when it happens, right? That's incredible what crypto can do, but you just need to know when to utilize it, right? Supply and demand. Set it. You want to know what I'm going to do for crypto? It's actually jokes. I'm going to do it right now. We're going to go to the monthly, and remember this. In case you guys are ever with me later on, all I'm going to do is set an alert for 92. Okay, add alert. You can start buying now. That's it. Done. Whenever that gets hit, it gets hit. Otherwise, nothing to look at. Imagine being one of those crypto guys watching every fucking 15-minute candle, 1-minute candle, every single one that prints. They're like, yeah, this is it. You know, crypto's back. Couldn't be me, man. Couldn't be me. Most people will all disappear and forget Bitcoin exists. And the best part is they'll sell at the bottom and we'll just buy, right? Like it's so simple. The market psychology is hilarious, but this is the problem, is like Bitcoin is literally just dressed up as a get rich quick scheme. A lot of people think that it's going to go to 100K, but they have no idea how the basics of supply and demand work, right, on a chart. Where's the demand sit right now? Perfect example. I mean, demand sits in here, right, at the structure point. Now, can demand outrun supply? If it doesn't, then we can take this down because supply is greater than demand, right? So in order for demand to kick in, we need to find a spot that it most recently kicked in. So let's go back out to our chart and go to a higher time frame. Where did demand kick into the market? Okay, well, it got overruled by supply, right? Supply was in the market right here, got overruled from here. Demand's coming, we're coming to here. That's the next spot. It's done. We're going to the dumps. Only two ways to fight inflation: the destruction of a financial market, temporarily, of course, or extreme fiscal tightening, which destroys financial markets. So there are no reason to be bullish. And you know what the cool part is, when you become proficient in understanding charts, is you can never listen to the news again a day in your life, and you can know exactly what's going on just based off of how things lay out on a chart, because this is the language of finance, right? That's all this is. This is the alphabet, the numeric, like this is everything you'll ever need to know in terms of finance. Do I have to say it? Whoever's fucking purple shit on the charts, get it off, please. Thank you. I find what news does, at least for me, while trading FX, while trading crypto, while investing in crypto, the news can make you, it's so funny. What does news do? It makes everything volatile, right? Why? Because there's emotion involved with news. And that's all it really is. So you can capitalize on emotion, or you can just read the chart, which has absolutely no emotion attached to it, and just say, okay, well, based off of what is showing on the chart right now, chances are we're going to move down, right? We're overextended, right? Where's demand kick in? Well, last time demand took out supply was here, right? Where are we going to come to here, and then we have a chance at running these highs, potentially. Go ahead, Mike.
Yo, what's up, Dyson?
Hey,
I had
man.
a question about the so currently just on this internal level of structure here. I know kind of focus on the high time frame sells, but say we were playing with this this internal level like bullish narrative. I didn't know we had like this area of demand which interacted with supply and kind of broke through. Now I know like going immediately in this area, there's not like a whole lot of liquidity to take resting just above.
Yep.
But would you consider because this had the chalk up and the chalk down, would you consider this level here as a portion of liquidity to take into this area of demand, making it any more valid, or still looking at the extreme structural demand?
I mean, obviously, in this specific case, I would never be looking at this. And the only reason why is because we have an unmitigated extreme sitting here with a level to basically take liquidity from.
Okay. So you wouldn't consider this as a level to take into that M15 flip
I mean,
area.
you could. It's not that you couldn't, but I mean, obviously, you know, in the context of this trade idea, obviously, we're not looking to trade long whatsoever, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I was just thinking.
generally-
Yeah, just generally, like following 15-minute there.
Yeah, I mean, you could, but it would depend on, so here, let's go like this onto the lower time frame, right? So we'll just say this entire area, sorry, this entire range is your demand, right? And let's say we go on to our lower time frame and we see something, obviously like this is not going to go higher, but let's say let's say that we delivered something like this. Okay, we've moved up, we've come down, and then we've realigned like this. I would say that, yeah, I would take this into an area that we could potentially target, right? But it's
Gotcha.
also, it's delivery, right? And I always say this, and I'm sure you have this voice of in the back of your head more often than not, but like POI gains relevance by what? How it's
Delivery into and away from.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
So look at it right now. How many people want to see this as your sweep? It's not a fucking sweep. This is a break of structure. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
It's not going to hold. So because of the delivery, everybody's looking at this. Yeah, there's liquidity here. Yeah, this is the one. It's not the case, right? And then what will happen is once we end up breaking down here, right, we're going to start coming up. So all these demand freaks are going to get involved down here. But the bottom line is we're just coming up to mitigate the last of the orders to then come down and take out this level. So yeah, just understanding these on multi-time frame is obviously going to be the most beneficial. But yeah, something like this, I'm not interested in, just based on the fact that we don't have anything to really target. And even if we do, even if it does come up here, this supply should overrule this demand.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, and yeah, cool. One follow-up though with what you said there. So say we did consider this like the level of liquidity, about right there. So that was technically taken into this area of demand, right?
Right.
But again, so it's kind of like, I know you just said it wasn't, you just said this wasn't the sweep into demand, but that's what I'm kind of confused about the idea of sweep into demand or the demand being swept and then going, that type of thing.
So with something like this, if you look, chances, like we got news happening right now, so this is obviously going to be yeah, literally right now. But if you look at something like this, we come back down like this, okay, and then we swept like this. That would be a better trade.
Okay, because we've had a sweep occur at the demand.
Exactly. But like the sweep can also be all these levels that get taken afterwards, right? Sweeping back down into here to be able to fuel this to go up. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, it does. Thank you, man.
This is pretty much what I was talking about earlier. What you just, yeah, cool. Yeah, this is very weak right now, very soft, in my opinion. A lot of people going long are going to get very, very hurt, I think. Nothing but downside coming. Shouldn't say that. There's a potential for anything to happen, but I think it's very likely to see some downside move. He owns. Yeah, we'll go for a walk soon. Okay, so right now, perfect. This is kind of like playing into the weak high, weak low thing. So, okay, we're going to get the push. And if order flow was to realign for us here, the theory is that because we have all these different confluences built around this level, is that we can then take this short into this being a weak area. So weak highs and weak lows, it's difficult because they depend on what happens in the POI here to see whether or not this is actually going to get taken. And that's why we use those confirmations, is to basically confirm an order flow realignment, which essentially means that supply is taking back control of the market to basically take out this demand, right? But it's also getting people involved here to provide liquidity for our move down. Focus on the bigger move. How many people are, so for all my guys that are in here and girls, you're getting close to day 80 if you were the original signups, or day 90 even. Yeah, getting close. I believe, yeah, the recurring payment starts this week, if I'm not mistaken. How many of you guys are going to start looking for for funding in the next couple of weeks? Throw one in the comments. For everybody who's put a 1, how do you feel confident enough with the strategy, or very close to confident enough in the strategy to be able to go for funding and sustain it? Lucas, my man. Cool. I don't want to sit here and upsell, you know, staying in the community. Quite frankly, I don't want to sound like a dick, but it doesn't matter to me whether or not you do. But I'm going to tell you something. One of the one of the reasons why I started doing this is to hold myself accountable. It's the best way for me to stay in tune with my trade plan by constantly preaching it to other people. If you're at a level where you're really close, you don't need to leave, you know, just because it's going to save you $350 or $150. Again, I'm not trying to, I don't really care about the money. It really doesn't do as much as you think it does. The bottom line is you don't have to conquer these things alone. And if it takes longer than 90 days, or if it takes longer than 120 days or whatever it is, you owe it to yourself to see this thing through. You know what I'm saying? So just remember, you don't need to stay for 3 months. You don't need to stay for another month. You can go try it on your own, but just know that you can always come back, and there's no shame coming back because you weren't quite ready or whatever it is. But yeah, this is a small, very, very small expense in the grand scheme of things to potentially change your life financially. So just remember that. Currently funded. So that's it's worth anything. I joined upskill myself and it's working. So oh, you're very welcome, man. Doing our absolute best to just deliver consistently. We don't change trading plans like you know, I know there are some communities that people have come from. I'm not going to obviously name drop or anything like that, but a lot of people had issues with constantly changing strategy. And yeah, just remember, like, this is how we trade. This is the only way that we trade. We used to have a counter trend model as well, and I just completely got rid of it because, quite frankly, if you can't trade pro trend, counter trend is not going to be for you. You need to be able to get involved with trades that make sense, that are aligned with where the money is actually flowing. Totally worth staying involved, in my opinion. Have to stay sharp and accountable. It's the best thing you can possibly do, in my opinion. Cash is already funded. Good man. Who are you funded with? I appreciate that, man. We try to keep it honestly, the Discord is super quiet, and it's for good reason. It's because at least what I've told myself is that everybody is very much in their own lane. Everybody is very focused. The people who are actually taking this serious are very, very focused on what it is that they're doing. They're not worried about the rest of the community. We have rules in place that nobody can share charts during trading hours. And the reason why is because this isn't a bunch of handouts. The handouts are the lessons, and nobody needs to have conflicting narratives while getting into positions. We leave after 90 days, do we automatically get accepted back in even if the group is full? I want to stay after my 90 days, but I'm third world exchange rate is killer. Yeah, so it's not an issue. As long as there's spots open and the website is running and we don't have the paywall shut down, you're more than welcome to rejoin. We're always going to keep kind of like the 150 mark is about the most that I want to teach at any one time, just to focus on higher quality, more interaction on like a personal level. Most of the people in the server, I'll reach out to, I wouldn't say on a daily basis, but anytime that I'm reached out to, I'm happy to jump on a call with people. I want to keep it so that it's personable, and that people can actually trust in our coaching staff, as well as myself. So funded with FTMO. Awesome. When I was at Phantom, the Discord was literally swing of the dick contest with everyone having their own strategy or approach. Yeah, man. The beauty of this, and again, I'm obviously biased because it's the community that I've created, but like the beauty of this community is that like we have 2 entry models. That's it. If those don't present, we don't fucking take trades. And furthermore, nobody's here trying to change or challenge the strategy. And that's kind of the cool part about like when you get into more of like a, I guess like a very, very specific type of community. And that's kind of what we're kind of like a specialty or a novelty or whatever you want to call it, community, where it's not learning basics, it's learning a specific, very, very specific set of rules and how to get yourself involved with them, how to journal them, how to build case studies around it so that you can understand how the actual edge plays out over time. Here for the rest of the year for sure, at least, but still need a couple months before attempting funding. Long game. Yeah, man, 100%. Do not, and guys, and one of the things I need to mention, one of the things that's super, super important to mention is that just because you've stayed 90 days does not mean that you need to know enough to be able to actually go for funding. So if you feel that you're not quite there yet, just because the first 90 days is up, don't fucking just go for funding just to go for funding, okay? Put yourself in a position to be in the driver's seat, right? If you don't have a handle on your emotions to be able to go and actually get funded, and you're just saying, you know what, it's been 90 days, I need to go fucking do this because Tyson said 90 days, whatever it is. The bottom line is, if you're not ready, don't fucking go. Book a couple one-on-ones. Spend an extra couple $100, big deal. I know, like, it's easy for me to say because I'm the guy that gets paid, but you know what? Use your resources. This is designed to be your last stop that you will ever need. That's what we're trying to do. So you need to use that to your advantage. We have arguably, some of the best and most interactive team members, as well as Dave, who just is an absolute goat when it came to creating the journaling template and is super efficient on getting back to people as well. So just remember, man, you guys have everything that you'll ever need within this community. And if it takes a little bit longer, so be it. You owe it to yourself to see it through. Don't backpedal and go back to a really busy community. It doesn't make sense. I love this community. It's the best I've seen. Until I'm very well grounded, I'm staying with it. Yeah, you're very welcome, man. We're here to help. So joining your community and learning to focus on the higher time frame narrative for the larger RR trades and holding them confidently is a huge plus for me. I mean, dude, in the past, 2 weeks, I've had 3 or 4 50R positions that have ran full volume, because we just play into the higher time frame, right? When you are able to wait for all of these time frames to align, imagine that, the fractal nature of the market. Don't be scared to swing for it. You don't even have to worry about it. You just align your time frames, 4 hour, 15, 1, 5 second, and yeah, pull the trigger, walk away. The daily advice, man. You know what? I'm just trying to keep it as real as possible. Everybody struggles a little bit, and just trying to keep it real. What's this? Wow, I'm going to screenshot a bunch of these. I'm just going to scroll through. Keeps me accountable. If you could find a way to grant access to the private YouTube channel for a certain cost, just to keep X members updated by watching the recap trades. Yeah, it's probably if you could find a way to grant access to the private YouTube channel for a certain cost. Yeah, that's what the membership is, bro. So, and all of those private YouTube videos are actually going to get moved over to, we've got a website being built right now. So we're going to have like an online portal where you'll sign in. I'm hoping in the next few weeks, possibly a month and a half away. It's hard to say. So. Will that make for quicker uploads? Hard to say. I'll have to let you know. I feel like everything gets uploaded pretty quickly. Yeah, we had like one small issue this weekend that just passed because obviously we had a power outage. We had a tornado that ran through. So yeah, yeah, I feel like every single morning. Oh, did I upload the one this morning? Oh no, we didn't have one this morning. That's right. Yeah, but YouTube takes a while. Yeah, I mean, it's the way it is. I mean, ultimately, it's yeah. I don't control how fast the rendering actually happens, and I don't know that it would be any better with an actual website. It's going to take, yeah, it takes a couple hours sometimes to go back and watch it in hindsight to be able to see it at full quality or HD. Just the way she goes. Yeah, eventually we'll have a better, it's in the works right now. The website's being built, it's being coded right now. Basically finalized our aesthetic for the homepage, and now it's just duplicating all the other pages. And yeah, it's just going to take some time, right? I mean, it's a pretty big website build. It's a yeah, there's anyways lots of back end stuff, stuff that I don't really know about. But anyways, long story short, it's in the works. Just a matter of time now. Guys, I'm not usually one to sort of do this, but you know, I'm going to give you guys a little call to action here. If I would really appreciate it, just to kind of put everything out there. So there's tons of people out there that are on the fence about joining. You know, if you guys value this community and you value the idea that somebody else could take value from it, and they just need that extra push to be able to get involved. Like I said, the cap is always going to be at 150 people, but there's probably 30, 40, 50 people right now that are just sitting there. They're unsure. If you guys want to, at any time, especially during the live trading sessions, you know, take a video, shout out Fractal Markets, shout out Dave with Flow State, any of the coaches, and tag us up. We'd be happy to share it. And we're going to start sharing a lot more charts from the community members, hopefully in the coming weeks. But yeah, it just goes a long ways to really help out people that are in a, you know, obviously looking to potentially get involved, and they're just on the fence about doing it. So you could find a grant. Wait, what else do we have to? In some cases, you map out 30-minute POI for entry as opposed to why only the 15-minute POI. Oh no, sometimes I do. So anytime there's a PO, like a POI is not one specific candle, right? And like this is your demand range. Yeah, demand range, right? Yeah, sometimes it just depends. Like it depends on my trade idea. So with a larger range like this, I'd be looking for probably a better realignment. Yeah, you can see that the market's trying to. Yeah, it just depends on, yeah, I would look at probably this. This is where demand really kicked into the market. Oh, why don't I look at the 30? Oh, I see. Is there a 30? Yeah, we can do this. this is the one that gets fully engulfed, right? If you look at your POI flow chart, POI should come from a buy to sell or sell to buy candle that is fully engulfed by the next candle. Let's go to the 30. It's not engulfed, right? So you just play with your timeframes until you get those requirements. I mean, yeah, like would I still be looking at this entire supply range? Yes, but like ultimately we're failing to take out the low, right? So chances are, yeah, we'll see something along the lines of this and then potentially see a sweep up. But yeah, personally, I would much rather look at something that gets engulfed. You can still look at this entire supply range. But yeah, you have to just be more careful with it for sure. $10. So your 10-minute gives you just a little. So I always like to take the candle that takes liquidity from the market and then break structure. So you can see with the 10-minute, it's going to be different than the 30, right? So I like this. There's a level of liquidity to take. You could probably even refine this down to the inside bar if you really wanted to. You can play around with it. Bottom line is we need to see confirmations in this zone anyways. So ideally, we're going to want to see this same thing. So now if we're on, like let's say we have this 15-minute POI, right? What do we need to see? Well, we need to see POI needs to break structure, right? So once we come up here, it needs to break structure of some sort. POI must take opposing liquidity, right? So ideally, we'd like to see something like this, break up, break down, and then come back up into here, showing a clear order flow shift, ideally mitigate something to create liquidity, and then bank on the shift to order flow, right? Don't be trading here. Don't be the first guy in, right? We want to see a level basically get taken, right? Inducement, some form of inducement before the POI. Everybody looks at this too. They look at these specifics. These are not the candles we're putting limits on. We're looking at this. If there's nothing clear on the POI flow, or like if there's no clear 1 minute, don't be jumping down to a 5-second. Let this tap into our supply range. Once we tap into the supply range, you want to see the realignment to be able to then get involved with this trade.
Hey, Tyson, can you go
Yeah.
back to the 15-minute? So I was just thinking about potential forecasts, right? So what if we saw something like this? So we have this reaction off of demand, and then we broke below into the extreme.
Mhm.
And now could we potentially be taking shorts depending on the delivery into this POI?
I would not, no. Because if this does, so if this right here breaks down into demand right here, but does not take out demand, and you're banking on a decisional supply to basically hold, if this broke this level, that would be a different story. Right?
Right.
Because otherwise you're banking, you're essentially, you're gambling kind of thing, right? So ultimately, if we come into this POI, right, we come into the demand, this is favorable to take a long, right? As opposed to looking for a short, because if this starts moving up and we have an order flow realignment to move up, what does that mean about this high technically?
It's weak.
It could potentially be weak, right?
Could be weak, yeah.
Could be weak, but we need to play on probabilities. If we react to demand, we get the order flow realignment to push this way. We cannot bet that sells are going to take out demand, right?
Right.
The only place I would be interested in doing that would be if we came up to this level, swept, and then broke down. because we need to see this high basically go if and when we tap into here and order flow realigns bullish, right? Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
So yeah, only time I'd be looking would be if we came down into something like this, then we could look at this potential area, right? Even if it matches this level, this is already mitigated, right? If we
Yeah,
break
because I
this
have
whole-
liquidity to take too.
exactly. Cool.
Yep.
Like even trading long from here, like we didn't have 1 minute chalk yet. Technically our chalk happens here, right? So if you got involved here, like this is dicey, man. Breakdown, break up, realignment, I get that, but like we didn't get criteria in here. Don't force sells up here. Like ideally you're gonna want to see something half decent break, and then we can start looking, right? Otherwise, do not force them. Wait for your confirmations, guys. Looking for the first 1 minute chalk that happens in here is going to yeah, it's going to be a little dicey. You have to watch, look for order flow. Remember, order flow, look at how it shifts, right? So when you're thinking about this, and we're coming into a demand level, we've broken up. Let's say we have higher time frame supply right here for whatever reason. Yeah, we'll call that supply for whatever. And we break up like this. We break up like this. Order flow realigns here, okay, on the alignment that happens again, right? And we need to have a level to basically target and understand that we have more liquidity likely resting underneath here than above here. Not sure if that was a good example or not, but you get the point. How to improve trading overall. Got the concepts right now, right, but still making mistakes or unclear in live markets. Do you think backtesting will improve? Any suggestions? How did you improve your trading? Case studies, man. There's a reason why we assign homework every single week and every single day. It's because, yeah, there's really no secret to being able to get more confident in the market. It's the only way is to get more exposure to it, right? Whether it be demo trading, whether it be backtesting, whether it be case study. Personally, I'm a huge fan of building case studies, especially with learning the mechanics of a strategy. And then furthermore, once once you start getting involved, once you start getting a handle on how the strategy operates, you could use backtesting. Personally, I think backtesting is good. I think it's a lot more beneficial to use a demo account and actually throw yourself in the fire. You should be actually trying to implement the strategy in a live market. It's obviously good to backtest as well. So what I would say to do is every time there's a pivot point, let's say, let's go over here. So a pivot point like this right here, let's say, okay. Yeah, let's say a pivot right here. Go and build your case study around this level. See if there was a trade that you could have got into. If there was a trade to get into, start backtesting from here and backtest your way through to watch how these things form and look at the details, right? Have all your annotations, do everything properly so that you can see as close as simulated or in a simulated way to be able to see how these things operate as the candles actually start printing, right? I think that's the most efficient way to you know, like expedite the process. Can you do a diagram for that for the Discord? Sorry, diagram for what exactly, Nick? My bad, man. Oh, the one that I did up top here for the order flow and stuff. How to, yeah, I'll do one. It's no problem. I mean, what do we need to see here, right? All you need to remember is that if we're in a bullish trend up and we pull down, okay, what do we need to see right here, right? First of all, if we've taken liquidity from the market right here and we don't mitigate something here to create equal lows and we've swept here, this high is going to be weak, right? So if that gets taken again, and then we see something like this, the idea is that now the theory is hopefully that this could be weak like this, right? Depending on how order flow realigns, but you don't even necessarily need to take this trade. You can wait till this comes down and then take this as the flip to be able to confirm that order flow has shifted, right? Order flow is just like literally this, right? If we make a low, a high, a low, a high, a low, a high, until this low is broken, we cannot confirm that this high is strong, right? To break that high, we must wait for a 15-minute chalk to enter. Yeah, absolutely. Even with the extreme POI, like you have to remember that if you're looking just to get in at the top, that's fine. You're arguably going to get in at the highest risk reward. The problem with getting in at the top is that you're going to have to hold through some form of drawdown into here. So if you're trading FTMO and like you're trying to trade this higher time frame move, you always want to wait for that next swing, right? You want to take the most liquid move. And that's kind of like the way that we've designed this. Like, is there a reaction to play? Yeah, sure. Where are you going to play into though? Chances are if you get in at the top, you're going to want to play this lower, right? But the bottom line is that we're going to see reactions here. Now you hold this trade overnight. Now you go into drawdown and now you violate, right? So you're better to wait for the confirmation entry, wait for liquidity to build in the market in the way that you want to trade, let it get taken from the market and then trade in that direction, right? Been there, done that, man. Came very close, very fucking close to violating, holding overnight. MFF. Yeah, we try to violate EU as frequently as possible. So. Yeah, you can hold overnight with FTMO. You can hold overnight with all of them. Yeah, I think FTMO is the only one who restricts you over weekends as well. Not that you should ever be holding trades over the weekend, but you have all kinds of gaps and shit like that. News comes out, whatever. It's the deal with spreads at night. Well, spread hours, right? Between 5 Eastern time and about 7:30 Eastern time is pretty well spread hours. It's basically in between sessions. Yeah, so spread hours is basically like when markets are they're not necessarily closed, but there's no volume in the markets. So there's like a turnover, and yeah, I mean, essentially spreads just widen at that time. So just for example, I have like a zero spread account with my Blueberry markets, and yeah, during spread hours, you'll see spreads of close to 5 pips sometimes. So if you're holding a position, you know, overnight, like let's say you got involved with a position right here, okay, and it's about to be spread hours. Well, what'll happen is you can get spreaded out, right? Because your spread is just your bid and your ask, and you can get taken out even though the price is sitting here. Your spread is sitting up here. You can get taken out, and you can actually get spread out overnight. It's typically in between 5. yeah, 5 pips, and like I've seen spread hours go up to 12 pips is about the most that I've ever seen. Mind you, I don't really monitor during spread hours too much. The last couple nights though, I've found my most favorable positions to be during Asia. POI is getting hit and criteria being delivered. So yeah, well, yeah, New York hasn't been great the last couple days, to be honest with you. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Set alerts, stay away from the screen. So yeah, you guys can see what I have involved, or sorry, what I have written in here. I mean, where order flow is still bullish, right? Yeah, we've had a small order flow shift, but yeah, we haven't seen anything substantial break. So trading from here is probably not the wisest idea, right? Personally, like to get this, like this would be the new low if we made a new high. If we broke this, I would be very, very interested in taking trades. You can still look for stuff in here if you really wanted to. But you got to be careful because we haven't broken anything that relevant, right? We've just taken this level of liquidity right here. So if this comes down and breaks this low, you know, this swing low or internal swing low, I should say, I would say that that would be a lot better position. So just remember what you need to see, right? In order for a strong level to be present in the market. Thoughts on the 4-hour supply above all of this. We had 15-minute bullish chalk of that. Would you be looking for a long? I mean, technically, you could. Yeah, you could have looked for a potential long. Yeah, see, we didn't get that 1-minute chalk. The chalk is here. Well, there's my cat. The area I would like to see longs come from would be, yeah, sort of down in here, right? That would be my most favorable spot. Take all this liquidity and then rock. Thoughts on supply above? Let's have a look. Yeah, I mean, again, we just need to look for the right confirmations to be able to. What do we need to see? Well, we need to see something along the lines of this, right? To reestablish, get that bigger confirmation to then take this down. But yeah, it's all valid stuff, right? Don't fight order flow though. That's the bottom line. I mean, ultimately order flow is like obviously our internal stuff is bearish. Like we've had that shift. However, you know, we're making a series of lows and highs, lows and highs, lows and highs. If we get, I just feel it's more high probability than we get tapped into the most recent top. Yeah. I mean, we just trade based off of reactions, right? Like, so ultimately right now trading here, probably not the best idea, to be honest with you. Yeah, I wouldn't, you need to see the confirmations. You're not going to be looking to just trade here. You want to be able to see, okay, if that's the low, we want to see that low break to give us a potential shift, right? Otherwise, there's nothing to trade in here other than trading long. See that. Okay. Yeah, so like I said, guys, you can proceed with caution sort of in this region. Technically we didn't break anything other than just like this order flow shift in here, but now it looks like it's trying to realign. So just be very careful around what happens. You don't need to be the first one involved at these levels either. You could wait for order flow to reestablish. and then you can start taking this down to the downside. Again, even if you want to wait and get confirmation that this is going to break through some form of a internal swing level, obviously like that might be more favorable, right? And then start looking at stuff like this to be basically play down, because right now we are fighting, we're essentially fighting the money up until we come into here, and then we could see maybe something like this to be able to take this, but ultimately, yeah, just let it realign, right? And I can't tell you what that's going to look like until it actually happens. And that's kind of, you know, the tough part about trading and also teaching, is that like as these things develop, like this POI will gain more relevance depending on how it's delivered into, right? So like I said, on the lower time frame, if we saw something along the lines of, okay, we've kind of come up into this level like this, we've broken down, we've realigned, right? Sorry, that's a bad example. Something like this, we've broken up, we've realigned, we've come back down, then we can start looking to take this, right? But we need to see levels of demand fail, and then levels of liquidity to take in here into our POI, looking for confirmations here to then take this down into a liquid region. This POI gains relevance by how it's delivered into and away from. That's it. Yes, we've had an order flow shift, but we need to see how it develops. Otherwise, it's no fucking good. Right now, we're making lows, highs, lows, highs until we're not, right? So if we come down into here, up to here, down into here, fail to take the high, then take the low, well, then that becomes the strong level to potentially trade from, aligned with our trade idea. Don't force things. Do not force things. Do not use a refined POI in here to be looking for a trade. A refined POI comes from here. This is your refined POI right here. This is not refined. Like you're not, because all of these are POIs, POI, 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 all of this, right? Don't be taking every 5-second chalk and flip in here. You're going to fucking kill yourself. Seriously. Wait for order flow to realign. The refined POI is this guy, this one, not any of these. Okay. Because there's nothing clear here. If there was something clear, I would say maybe, but there's nothing. Cool. That's it for today, guys. Sorry, but I'm not going to be sitting here watching this. Like I said, if you guys want to be able to set some sort of a marker on this level right here, you can set this one as a, we're looking to trade this pro trend aligned with swing structure on the higher time frame. So pro trend, right now we are, so we are leaving from demand, right? So now we're at counter order flow. Everybody understand that? We're leaving from a demand level right here. So order flow is still bullish, right? Until it's not. So we need to see a 15-minute order flow shift at this level, or if we have a 1-minute refined, then we can look. So what do we need to see here? We need to see the 15-minute realign at this level to then take this down. Understood? Hey, Ty, I wanted to ask if you think that momentum correlates with following the money. That's exactly what order flow is the momentum in the market, right? Cool. How'd everybody like this today? I know we didn't take any trades, but I mean, did you guys take anything from this? Yeah, this is my favorite session of the week, is doing the live trading ones. Cool, guys. I'll get this uploaded shortly. Thanks, Cash. But yeah, as it stands right now, like I said, because we are leaving from a demand zone, just remember, we need to see order flow realign, right? Don't just be looking for a 1-minute chalk in here now. If this would have came before this level and moved back up, we could then look for a chalk. But now that we're leaving from a demand level, we have to watch for our realignment, okay? So have a good day, guys. I'll catch up with you guys a little bit later on if there's questions or anything like that. Otherwise, the community is relatively quiet. So if there's no questions or anything like that, I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. And we will see you guys tomorrow during the case study building session. Yeah, around 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So have a good one, guys. Peace out.